everyone who watches my videos and resonates and feels touched and something moves in their spirit, I have blessed them. Every person I meet on the street and I'm able to look them in their eye and say hello, and able to be present and kind and compassionate, I have blessed them. Every time I have a conversation with somebody and when they act up and get triggered and react, instead of me getting into it with them, I'm able to stay in my body and talk to them from a connected place and not a wounded place. I have blessed them. Every time somebody's in my YouTube comments acting crazy, and instead of going off on them, I'm able to see their hurt and their pain and talk to them, I have blessed them. Hey y'all, it's Chimdi. So in this video, I want to talk about the concept of investing in yourself. One thing as a creative coach I've had to do and talk about is, do you want to invest in yourself? Do you care enough about your life and your work and your art and your creativity to give me, Chimdi, your money to help you get to where you want to be, you know? As a creative person and as someone who is in the world, part of me used to be very much like, that kind of language is scammer language, you know? Having to convince someone of anything is not for me. And then to convince someone to pour into themselves has made no sense. I'm just like, do you love yourself or not? But I realized that actually I was not always someone who invested in myself. Arguably until recently, I really only invested when I was more concerned about what other people thought, and that was what drove me. And only in the last few years have I slowly started investing in myself more, and I've started to see the results. So I want to talk about 4 big investments I made in myself. One, which I made because of other people's pressure, societal pressure, perceived pressure from my parents. And the other 3 I made because I just really wanted the experience in these things and the difference it's made in my life. So the first one was getting my graduate degree in public policy. I know y'all watching my videos like, wow, she so eloquently and casually uses these big words. Yes, I went to graduate school. I'm highly educated. Black women, we are the most educated in the whole world, or something like that. And I got my graduate degree right after undergrad. So literally I graduated school in 2012. I know y'all, I know I have the youthful glow. I'm gonna make a separate video after this video and I'm gonna call it, my skincare routine is minding my business. Because people always ask me what my skincare routine is. I don't have a skincare routine, I'm just blessed. 2012 was when I graduated, and then I spent immediately another 2 years. I just got that graduate degree out of the way. I am, as I've noted, very intelligent, and I went to undergrad on a full ride, but I paid for graduate school. The reason why I'm laughing at pouring so much love on myself is I was just watching this video by Sista Shavani, and she was talking about the importance of pouring like positive words on yourself. And I was watching it and I was like, I just do this anyway. Like, that's why my life is so great. I'm always already doing that. And it's one of the things I'm going to talk about in that video about my skincare. I constantly am saying I have incredible skin and I'm pouring love on myself. So my skin just has to obey me. Anyway, this is not the skincare routine video. I graduated in 2014. I only got that master's degree. I did care back then about public policy. I really did believe the way to make change was through legislation, Obamacare. I was so on board with all of that stuff. Even though in my heart of hearts, I wanted to be a creative. I wanted to be showing up for you all, living my best life, talking about how great my skincare is. This is what I wanted to be doing. I feel very blessed, thank you God, that I get to do it now. But I did not get a full ride for graduate school. I spent like 30K, maybe 32K on getting a graduate degree that I, in my heart of hearts, did not actually care or want, and arguably within one semester was like, this is a waste of my time. You've made a huge mistake. I was the first person in my, of the kids in my family to get a second degree, which was like another win for me, because everything is a competition. But ultimately, I didn't really actually want that degree. And so then I spent years paying off the student loans that I accumulated from getting that degree. Back then, I didn't really understand fundamentally that my life was my own and that I could do whatever I wanted in it. I still really believed all of the conditioning, all of the programming about what I should be doing. And I didn't honor and respect myself enough. And honestly, I just didn't care and love myself enough. I can be honest with y'all. I didn't love myself enough to be like, girl, you know you don't care. Do what you want. You deserve to do what you want. I did learn a lot from going to graduate school. I learned a lot from that experience. I got to meet different people. So like, you know, I got things out of it, but ultimately it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And then of course, with that degree, I also believed that I wouldn't be able to get a job in the policy space with just my undergrad. So that was like another motivating factor. And then once I had the graduate degree, that led me down my path of being in the nonprofit space, which I only exited a year ago. So I spent a lot of my life on this path that was not fully aligned with where I wanted to be. be. While I was in my nonprofit world, I went to a lot of like conferences, and we put on our own conferences and events focused on the topics of the nonprofit. So things like education and leadership, workforce development, healthcare, system stuff. These things that are truly very important. And if that is what you are spending your time in life doing, awesome. Seriously, they're important. I'm so glad. They were not things that I personally cared about. And so I associated things like conferences and workshops and all these things with, these are things that I'm forced to do. They're not really going to be inherently fun. The networking is cool. You can meet some cool people, but ultimately, like, whatever. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It was not until I quit that job that I understood, like, literally my eyes opened. They opened all of the way, and I understood how different life could be. So I want to talk about 3 of the different other investments I have made and the ways they have changed my life. So one I actually invested in while I was working in the nonprofit space, and that is Remote Year. If you're thinking about doing Remote Year, I have a referral link in the description box. But Remote Year is a travel program where you can travel for 6, 12 months. You can do week retreats, whatever. When I did it, it was either 4 months or a year. And I picked to do this year-long program where you hung out with a bunch of strangers. My group was like 34 people. Every month you went to a new country. So I started in Lisbon, Portugal. I went to Croatia. I went to Prague. I went to Morocco. I went to Japan and Thailand and Malaysia and Vietnam, Chile, Mexico, Peru, Colombia. And then I also went to like Berlin in Germany. We went to Cuba. I went to Bali. I went to Indonesia. I had such an incredible experience. It literally has changed my life. Of course, like everything, it had its ups and downs, but I still tell people when they ask me about it, it is such a game-changing life experience. If you are blessed enough to consider Remote Year, you're already doing better than a lot of people. And if you're called, listen to the calling, because truly one of the best experiences of my life. That program, when I did it, there was a $3,000 deposit, and then every month cost $2,000. So I spent about $27,000 on this travel program. And guess what? I would do it again. I wouldn't actually do it again because a year is a long time. I'm a grown woman now. And also I do what I want. I can't have other people telling me where I'm gonna travel. But like, I have no regrets about spending that much money on that experience because it truly was an investment. The money that I spent was money that would have gone to rent and bills anyway, but instead it went to trips, it went to passport stamps, it went to these life-changing experiences, it went to meeting like some of the best friends of my life. It truly went to expanding my worldview. And now I can say that I've literally been to 4 continents. Like I've lived a life that I realize a lot of other people haven't lived. And it's only once you start accumulating these experiences where you're like, oh crap, like this is not normal. Like a lot of people can't say they've been to Japan and Peru and Germany and Cuba. And, you know, like it's just, I'm really, really blessed. And I'm so proud of myself for investing in myself in that way. Because after doing Remote Year, I've talked to so many people who are like asking me about the program because they're thinking about it, who are like, oh yeah, I've known about the program for 4 years. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, I knew about the program when it started. And I'm like, what? So what are you? Like, I have since gone the program, come back, there's been a pandemic, and here I am. And there are people who are still in that space of talking about what they want to do. I just really want to name, like, we truly all have our own process and all have our own journey. So if you're in the journey where you're still in the thinking, talking it over stage, that's for a good reason. That's for an intelligent reason. You have your own personal reasons why you need to kind of go through some things before you're ready for such a life-changing experience. I totally get that. I just want to share that it is so powerful to invest in yourself and to invest in yourself in the things that you know you want to do. When I found out about Remote Year, within 2 weeks, I had signed up for the program. 2 weeks. So I knew, because I do a lot of research first. I did all of my research, I think over the course of a couple of days. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is for me. I did the research to kind of like bring my like judgment brain, like let's be realistic brain on board. And as soon as it was on board, I was like, bet. 2 weeks I was in, and now that's been years. Like years have passed since then. That is one of the biggest sort of like whoa like investments in myself that I'm so grateful I made. Another huge investment that I made, and it was huge because of the way it changed my experience of my life, was getting eye surgery. It cost me about $6,000 to get PRK laser eye surgery. It was not covered by my insurance. I had heard about PRK. I actually used to date someone who was telling me about LASIK versus PRK, and back then then I thought the surgery was like a surgery. I thought it was like an hour-long process. You know, surgery, I thought I would go under. I had the genuine fear about going blind. You know, all the things that keep you from doing voluntary surgery, right? And I remember I was talking to a friend of mine, and this is why I think I'm gonna make a separate video, we'll see, about the importance of the people you have in your life, because that will change your life. I had a friend who had actually already gotten PRK, and I think her partner at the time had gotten regular LASIK or vice versa. I'm like kind of hanging out with my friend, and I'm like talking about my emotional and spiritual breakthroughs around my vision and my sight, and really just learn to appreciate what I have, because at the time I had like really intense nearsightedness. If you see my video about how God got me to stop smoking weed, you already know that insight I had around like my vision and my sight. Watch it in that video. I'm not gonna talk about it in this one, but I was, you know, explaining to her like, oh, I'm so grateful. I actually have great vision because I can see things in this unique way. And they just looked at me and they were like, have you considered getting eye surgery, girl? Because it was a very intense myopia. And I was like, surgery, you know? And they were like, girl, literally it's like 2 minutes per eye. And I was like, what? They were like, yeah, girl, you'll be in and out of there less than it takes like a TV show. Like, I was like, they're like, yeah, you don't go, there's no anesthesia. Like you're awake the whole time, you feel nothing, and then within 20 minutes you have perfect vision. And I'm like, what? I was so like, oh, no one told me about this. No one told me it was that easy. When I tell you, within a week of that conversation, I had my surgery booked. Within 2 weeks, I had my PRK surgery. So I made a series of videos on my channel about my experience, and I still get comments on those videos where people are like, thank you so much. And I'm like, you are welcome. I have not lost my enthusiasm for this eye surgery. As I'm speaking, I'm remembering that I'm not wearing contacts, but I'm seeing you clearly. And I am so grateful. I'm so grateful that I invested in myself. I knew I'd get that money back. That's the thing too, like you really need to have this mindset of abundance to be able to invest in yourself. If you don't believe you have enough money, if you don't believe more is coming, if you don't believe you're gonna be taken care of, you're not gonna pour money into things because you're gonna be scared. There's gonna be so much fear. So the undercurrent of all of this is doing a bunch of healing work where I learn to love myself and understand that I'm abundant and that I'm worth investing in, which then allowed me to then pour into myself in all these ways that then further reaffirmed the truth that I am abundant and everything is taken care of and I'm divinely blessed and all these different things. And one thing I talk about in those eye surgery videos is that the process of getting eye surgery, it felt as if I was playing this video game called life and I had up-leveled and I had gotten the vision badge. Because there are people who are born with perfect 20/20 vision and they don't even realize that's a thing you can attain, so they take it for granted. And I'm honestly grateful that I know what it means to not have it so that I can have it and genuinely appreciate it and see the rest of the world and all of the different things that if I want, they can be attained. Now it's no longer like, oh, that dream is for other people. These other people get to ride on private jets. These other people get to live the life of these dreams. These other people, like, no, I'm like, I get to have and do whatever I want. And let me show you. Honestly, when I think about my channel and my life, but mostly like how I show up for you all, I want to live a kind of life where people are like, how did she do that? Because I know she didn't do that on her own. And I can be like, I didn't. It was God. Praise the Lord. Like, I want to live a life that's so incredible. People are like, what's going on? And I'm like, God, y'all, it's true. Like, for real, love. Like, you can have whatever you want. I'm so grateful, y'all. I'm so grateful for good vision. I'm so grateful for good vision. Like, amen. Thank you, God. Thank you. And then the final investment, and this was the investment that was the most, this is the most recent investment, and it's the investment that was the most truly just for me. I think the eye surgery was also just for me. Actually, these are all just for me. Let me stop pretending. They're all for me. Remote year was for me. Grad school was for my parents and for society, but travel, eye surgery, both just for me. But I think instead of me in a sort of superficial way, like travel is dope, it's awesome, and it's very fun, it's very expansive, but there's a level of development that isn't necessarily called, like emotional, spiritual development, that isn't necessarily called for when you do a travel program. And as a result, this is also what I'll tell people, you might end up meeting ignorant people. Like, it's just a reality. Not everyone cares in the same way that we care about respect and honoring each other and honoring cultures and all these different things, right? So that's just a reality. Eye surgery, same thing. I had someone leave me a comment on one of my eye surgery videos, because y'all know I talked about God all up in it, who just said like, I was just here for the eye surgery stuff, and then you started talking about your invisible friend in the sky, you know? And I was just like, congratulations on your eye surgery. I'm like, I don't have time. I'm not debating, y'all. I'm not in an argument mode. I'm not trying to convince nobody or nothing. I'm out here living my best life. If it resonates, it resonates. So you can want eye surgery and have no spiritual connection to the power of your sight and all these different things, right? But this final investment I made, which was the investment in the Timeless Wisdom training with Thomas Hubel, was me saying, okay, when I think about the kind of life I want to live, when I think about my values, when I think about what's important to me, when I think about my character, when I think about my impact and my purpose, this program is aligned and it's worth it for $10,000. This is not a program where I'm gonna get some certificate at the end. I'm not doing it to get a job later. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this because I want to heal my trauma. I'm doing this because I want to be able to show up more present in my own life. I'm doing it because I want to have healthy, beautiful, intimate relationships where I can show up vulnerably, where I can support the other person, where I'm not living in fear. I want that for me. And I think the whole world benefits when there are more people who are loving and kind and present and compassionate and who are understanding and have self-awareness. All of these things, I think we all win. But ultimately, it's for me, and no one but me is like going to be congratulating me at the end. I mean, my other TWT people will, but you know what I mean? But like, it's not for external reward or accomplishment. It's truly just for me. It was an investment that I'd never made before because I'd never really paid for any kind of like professional development in that way. Certainly not that amount of money. And it has had the most profound change in my life. It has had the most profound, fundamental change in my life. The amount of things that I've been holding on to, that I've been able to let go, the amount of insight into my own life that I've been able to get, the amount of love and joy and peace that has filled my life as I've released all of this trauma, the relationships and friendships that I've gotten because I'm in this program, the purpose, the alignment in terms of my own work, it's radiated into every aspect of my being, and it's fundamentally changed how I show up in my day-to-day. And I feel so grateful. And it's the only experience. I mean, I think all of these experiences, like getting to travel the world for a year, how do you put a price on the way your life changes? Being able to see, being able to open your eyes and see. How do you put a price on that? Being able to heal your trauma? How? Like, when I left that program, y'all, after the first in-person retreat, it's a 2-year program. We had our first in-person retreat in the spring. I left that program and I told one of the folks on staff, I was like, honestly, y'all should charge more. Honestly, because how do you put a price on being able to weep into someone's arms about some childhood trauma that you didn't even know you had, and then feel the release of all of that pain going, and like lying on the grass and staring at the sun and understanding that life is beautiful? Like, it's hard to put into words how game-changing it is. And I only got to experience, and I only get to experience these things because I cared enough about myself to invest in myself. And that's been the biggest game changer for me, is understanding that the more I love myself, the better my life will be. The more I pour into myself, the better my life will be. And then as my life gets better and better, I then show up more authentically and I bless everyone I meet. Everyone who watches my videos and resonates and feels touched and something moves in their spirit, I have blessed them. Every person I meet on the street and I'm able to look them in their eye and say hello, and able to be present and kind and compassionate, I have blessed them. Every time I have a conversation with somebody and when they act up and get triggered and react, instead of me getting into it with them, I'm able to stay in my body and talk to them from a connected place and not a wounded place. I have blessed them. Every time somebody's in my YouTube comments acting crazy, and instead of going off on them, I'm able to see their hurt and their pain and talk to them, I have blessed them. Every time I make a video on here, and I'm honest and I'm vulnerable and I'm showing and I'm modeling for you all what it looks like to be alive and to be grateful and to be blessed and to be honest and to show you all that it's possible to do whatever you want to do, I have blessed y'all. I'm out here being a blessing. I'm out here being a blessing, okay? Listen, I'm going on a rant about how great my life is. The point is, I'm so grateful that one after another of these investments have poured into me and given me this understanding that I deserve to be invested in, and I will continue to invest in myself. So if you are at that stage in your journey, congratulations. Don't it feel good to love yourself? If you're not there yet, guess what? You're gonna get there eventually. It's gonna take the time it takes. You're gonna get there eventually. I'm just letting you know from the other side, it is worth investing in yourself. It is worth pouring into yourself. You are worth it. I love you. Patreon people, you're the best. Thank you. If you're interested in creative coaching, if you want me to pour into you like this every single week, check out the description box. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.